SmackDown review time. I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of complaints and are not going to like this episode of SmackDown just off of one thing, and that is the fact that Charlotte Flair won the SmackDown Women's Championship off of Asuka just 2 weeks before WrestleMania, and now we don't know what's going to happen with Asuka, if she's even going to be in the championship match, is she even going to be in an important match or a significant match at Mania at all, because right after she lost the championship, she was then seen backstage acting all happy, cheering on the New Day like she hadn't lost the title. And despite what happened on SmackDown, despite that match and the outcome of that, which I didn't like, I don't like, how Asuka's been kind of forgotten in this case. And I'm not even the biggest Asuka fan, but it seems like really all the focus and the only focus is on Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda in this case when it comes to the singles women's titles. The SmackDown women's titles seem kind of forgotten, but even then it seemed like maybe Mandy or Sonya would get a championship match or both against Asuka. Now who knows what's gonna happen, but I know a ton of people are complaining, based off that. But despite that, I like this SmackDown. This was a big SmackDown. A lot of stuff happened, some unexpected stuff, and I really enjoyed this episode. This was a lot better than last night's Raw and better than last week's Raw and SmackDown. And when it comes to the SD Women's title match that we just saw tonight, I thought it was a really good match. I was actually surprised when Charlotte went ahead and hit the Spanish flag. I don't think I've ever seen her hit that move before. She might have done it before, but that was just the first time for me personally seeing it, seeing her do it. Of course, I've seen the move before. And yeah, really good match. This was, I think, the best match that they had if we're talking about this week and last week's Raw and SmackDowns. This, once again, is only the second week that I'm back to watching full episodes of Raw and SmackDown live. And, despite Charlotte winning, it doesn't change the fact that, but this was a good match. Now, as far as my thoughts on its effect, at WrestleMania, what's gonna happen? Well, we don't know what's gonna happen now. It just happened. We don't know what Asuka's gonna do. Seems like the triple threat is still gonna remain a triple threat match. There could be a possibility of unifying the titles, both championships on the line. I saw you guys suggest that in the live coverage video that I did. And that could happen. Both championships on the line. Whoever wins both titles, and they unify the titles, and the challengers from both SmackDown and Raw go for the same championship, kind of like the women's tag team titles and what they're doing with that at the moment. As far as Asuka being possibly added to the triple threat match, I don't see that happening at all, because she's had no involvement with Ronda at all, so it just doesn't make any sense or much sense storyline wise. Of course, if the rematch clause was still in effect, maybe it would make some sense, because, automatic rematch, but they kind of scraped the automatic rematch clause. As far as making it a one-on-one match, Becky versus Ronda and Charlotte versus Asuka, could be possible, but at the moment, honestly, I think it might just remain a triple threat match. But here's the thing, on Raw, this upcoming Raw, there's going to be a 6-man tag team match involving Charlotte Flair, Becky, and Ronda. And if any one of them betrays the team, then they're out of the triple threat match. Now, when I was watching Raw, I was like, alright, well, nobody's going to betray anybody, because it's going to remain a triple threat. But now, seeing as how Charlotte just won the SmackDown Women's Championship, now I think there's a possibility of one of them actually betraying the other and getting taken out of that 6-man tag team match. Maybe Charlotte does something that gets her kicked out, and then it's Charlotte versus Asuka and Becky versus Ronda. Somebody in the comment section of the video that I just posted up a couple minutes ago was like, well, if it is Charlotte versus Asuka and Becky versus Ronda one-on-one, which one main events? I'm like, definitely Ronda versus Becky. I'm sure that one would main event in that case. But hey, we'll see what happens. I'm going to stop speculating. But yeah, definitely a shocker, definitely a surprise. I like surprises, and I enjoyed this match. I really did. Thought it was a great match. But, what's going to happen with Asuka? That's the question now. And also, what's going to happen with the triple threat? Now, aside from that, another big announcement on SmackDown was The Miz going ahead and announcing that he wants the match against Shane McMahon to be a Falls Count Anywhere match. I like that. See, that increases my excitement for WrestleMania. When I was watching, Raw, like last week, for instance, it actually decreased my excitement for WrestleMania with the announcement that Kurt Angle's last opponent would be Corbin. And with these shows, I look to, get more excited towards the pay-per-view. Like, get me excited for the upcoming, big show that you're having. In this case, WrestleMania, the biggest show of them all. And I wasn't getting that from Raw. But in this case, now I'm like, oh, okay. Now I'm even more excited for the Miz versus Shane match. If it was just a regular match, we would have seen maybe Shane pull off an elbow drop through the announce table, just off the turnbuckle or something like that. But with being false count anywhere now, Shane has the opportunity to get real crazy, jump off with something real high, or just do a bunch of other stuff. I'm excited for that match even more now. Shane's definitely losing. I mean, Shane always loses, but I'm curious to see what Shane's gonna pull off. And looking forward to the Miz versus Shane a lot more than I was before. I was looking forward to it to some extent, but now more than before. And speaking of Corbin and Kurt Angle, well, supposed to be Angle versus AJ Styles tonight, but the match got interrupted by Randy. That was a bit disappointing, because these are Kurt Angle's final matches. It's his farewell matches. Was looking forward to Joe versus Angle. We actually got that last night on Raw, and was really looking forward to AJ versus Kurt Angle, an actual match, but yeah, it didn't really last long at all. Randy Orton went ahead and interrupted the match. I mean, it makes sense. You know, they're having a match, Randy versus AJ, but I feel like they could have had maybe a bit, a longer match, an actual match, and then maybe Randy distracts AJ or something like that, and AJ picks up, Kurt picks up the win that way. But whatever, what happened, and after the match, Kurt Angle hits that angle slam on Randy. I hope that next week, when they have Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle, that Samoa Joe doesn't get involved and, attacks Rey Mysterio to interrupt the match just like Randy did. I actually want to see the match. Now, speaking of Joe and Rey Mysterio also, once again, they showed Dominic pretty much talking about Samoa Joe. So you know what I want to see, because this is the second time now that he talks about Joe being a bully or whatever. How old is Dominic? If he's 18, I want to see Samoa Joe at WrestleMania choke him out. I want to see him put Dominic in the coquina clutch and put him to sleep for those little remarks that he's making. Joe went after AJ's family. He should go after Rey's family as well. I kind of want that to be Joe's thing. And didn't he do it to Roman Reigns as well, or was it somebody else? I remember somebody bringing Roman Reigns' family into their feud. I don't recall if it was Joe, though. Actually, it might have been Bray Wyatt. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I think it was Bray Wyatt. But I kind of want that to be, Joe's thing. Go after the superstar's family, he'll be the one to stoop to that level. And finally, the biggest thing, or maybe the second biggest thing, depends on how you see it, because, we had that title change. The Gauntlet match, another Gauntlet match. I was surprised with this as well. That was the two surprises for this week's SmackDown, really. Charlotte winning the title this soon, towards WrestleMania, who even expected her to be in the championship match for the SmackDown Women's title. And then this Gauntlet match and the outcome of it. So when they announced it, that the New Day, will get this opportunity to get Kofi Kingston his championship match at WrestleMania, I'm thinking, alright, same thing's gonna happen as last week. I mean, all the signs were there. It's another Gauntlet match, so they're gonna have another final opponent. And once again, on commentary, they're like, yo, this is Kofi Kingston's last opportunity. The same exact thing they said last week when it wasn't his last opportunity, obviously. And I'm thinking, alright, well, something's going to happen, and Kofi's not going to get his championship opportunity this week, so it's going to happen probably next week, or at Mania itself. But no, I was pleasantly surprised New Day actually won the Gauntlet match. Like, what? And I actually enjoyed this Gauntlet match better than the Kofi Kingston Gauntlet match. I really enjoyed this. I think Woods was like the MVP of that tag team match, but Big E also put on a great performance. And it was some enjoyable tag team matches, man. Right off the bat, man, with the way Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows came out first and they got eliminated in like seconds or like a minute, I was like, yeah, they're definitely leaving with the way, they got beat, or how easily they got beat. But the one moment that I really liked in the Gauntlet match was when the Usos came out and they went ahead and forfeit the match for Kofi Kingston. That was cool. I saw that coming, and I'm pretty sure most of you guys also saw it coming, especially when they grabbed the microphone, that it was going to happen even before that, because they were supporting Kofi, in his Gauntlet match. But yeah, I like that. That these two have history, but they have respect for each other, and they also feel that Kofi Kingston deserves that opportunity, so they forfeit the match. That was cool. Now, Daniel Bryan complaining backstage about that, raging. He ends up kicking a TV, and then in the rage, pulls out like one of the most PG cuss words ever, says this is bullcrap. Should have just actually had him say the actual thing and beep it out. It's just a lot less cringy that way, because who in real life would actually say, well, I don't know. There might be some people out there who'd say that instead of the actual thing. So yeah, that was pretty much it, man. I was really surprised with the New Day holding it off at the end. I kind of thought, I will say though, Eric Rowan looked pretty stupid in that table spot where they flipped the table over him, because he was just, you know, standing there, or not standing there, but laying there looking at it. He wasn't laid out or anything, and he was just waiting for the table to be flipped over. He's like, oh no, well just, you know, just get up and walk away. Just crawl away, do something. He was just laying there and just backing away a bit, waiting for it to happen. But I'm glad it happened. I'm glad the New Day ended up winning that Gauntlet match, and proving me wrong, man. Kofi Kingston gets that championship opportunity, and then they interview Vince, and they're like, hey, does this mean he gets the match? And he's like, yeah. But then he's like, the question is now, can a B-plus player beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania? Man, this has really, you know, crazy how he's saying something like this when just a few years back, Daniel Bryan was the B-plus player, and he didn't want him to be in that championship match, which of course they brought up on SmackDown, calling Daniel Bryan a hypocrite because he called Kofi Kingston a B-plus player the other week. So, yeah, as far as SmackDown, man, like I said, really enjoyed this. I'm gonna give this one, I think, a 7 to 7.5 on 10. Enjoyed this. This was good. In the comments section, let me know what you guys thought of SmackDown. Sorry that there's no gameplay this time, but I'm in a hurry because I gotta get to somewhere before it closes. So with that said, I'm out. See ya.